my favourite patron. Anything odd to show me?
Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be covering a quest in the Shivering Isles titled The Museum of Oddities, collecting many mysterious and strange artifacts, some of which turn out to boast unexpected side effects.
Oh my, how wonderful! A ring that removes people's clothing. This will be one of my most popular exhibits, I'm sure.
And one item in particular is tied to an insane quest and NPC in Morrowind I'm sure you'll enjoy.
So what do you want?
Plus, what happens when the player steals all of the contents from the museum and then asks for a tour?
Oh yes, I've already shown you this shelf, haven't I? My poor old brain just isn't what it used to be.
To begin the quest, when in the dead of night, when traipsing around the muck-laden walkways of Crucible, New Sheoth, we bump into an aging female Imperial savant wearing the rare and expensive blue silks usually worn by the Countesses of Cyrodiil, and she greets.
Hello, I'm Armina. Perhaps you've heard of my Museum of Oddities. There you can view all the finest oddities of the realm. I'm always looking for new exhibits, so be sure to think of me when you see anything odd. Goodbye.
Museum of Oddities? And here she could be mistaken for royalty. Apparently this museum and its proprietor is the talk of the town, and all over Crucible and Bliss, people can be heard saying,
"You should stop by the Museum of Oddities. I understand Una is always looking for more items to display."
She's always looking for new items for the Museum of Oddities.
That Museum of Oddities is a joke, although I hear Armina will pay for certain items.
If she thinks something is odd, she'll put it on a shelf for everyone to look at.
Later, when heading up the stairs to Bliss, we find nestled next to Cutter's weapons to our left, a sign for the Museum of Oddities, and curiosity takes hold as we enter its large and ornate door. Inside we find Armina wandering aimlessly, and she welcomes.
Is this your first time to the museum? Perhaps you would care for a tour. I am the curator of the Museum of Oddities, Armina. Have we met? You look familiar. Anyway, I'm always looking for new exhibits, so remember me when you come across anything odd.
Looking around, we see this museum is located in a spacious 3-story room, and the many display cabinets littered throughout seem to be, well, empty. Una, seeing our interest, offers.
Would you like a tour of the museum?
We can then respond. Sorry, not right now.
That's fine. Feel free to look around on your own.
Otherwise, actually, yes, I'd love a tour.
Wonderful. Follow me and I'll show you around my little collection of oddities. Look closely and you'll see a tiny skull. These pygmies used to live in the Shivering Isles until they were all eaten by grummites, poor dears. Here's a real oddity for you, an arm of one of the gatekeepers. This one was killed by... I forget now. A lovely specimen in any case.
It should be quickly noted, the arm of the gatekeeper is not one of the gatekeeper parts that can be used for the quest Rebuilding the Gatekeeper, unfortunately.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Up here is a little beauty. The Ring of Desiccation. Walk on water and breathe underwater at the same time. Odd, if you think about it for a minute.
Also of note, this strange ebony ring of desiccation is needed for the coming storm quest we're yet to cover. After the tour is concluded, Una then states,
I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Feel free to stay and browse for as long as you like.
Say, I don't mean to be rude, but that tour felt short. Were there meant to be more oddities, perchance?
I'm always looking for new oddities to add to my collection. Anything unusual, bizarre, strange, or disturbing, bring it to me. I do pay a nominal finder's fee, but of course the real reward is your contribution to posterity. Do you have anything that you'd like to contribute to the museum?
With nothing on us, we're forced to respond. But I don't have anything, sorry. Not right now.
Oh, don't worry. You'll find something odd if you keep at it. Bye.
Then our quest updates. Una Armina, the proprietor of the Museum of Oddities in Crucible, told me that she's always looking for new exhibits for her museum. If I find anything odd, I should bring it to her.
I hope you're enjoying the museum.
Beginning the quest, there are 12 oddities to be found in the Isles, which, unfortunately for us, we've received no clues as to what the items are or their whereabouts, though we will be notified once we've found said items. But also, 7 out of the 12 items are found in randomized containers. Now, the good news is, not only are the items extremely interesting, the developers went above and beyond on making the quest rewarding, not just in terms of gold, but also the enjoyable way to mess with Una along the way, which we shall soon explore. But first, there is the matter of the evil artifact hiding secretly behind a quest. See, when trying to locate the first item, we visit the Howling Halls, which is a medium-sized ruin southeast of Deep Hollow, and to find said item, we need to enter its congregation chambers. Now, unfortunately, said chambers are inaccessible until the Symbols of Office quest has begun. However, progressing through the main quest, we can then head inside and find in a locked display case the pelvis of Pelagius. This is indeed the same hip bone the Dragonborn is given to visit Sheoth in the mind of the deceased Mad Emperor during the events of Skyrim. Now, picking up the artifact, our quest updates. I found an ancient pelvic bone with a small inscription that reads, Pelagius 3, 3rd Sun's Dawn. This might be something Una Armina would want for the Museum of Oddities. Returning to an expectant Armina, she questions.
Have you found a new oddity that you'd like to contribute to the museum?
Actually, I have the pelvis of the famous Emperor Pelagius, no less. Look, you can see the inscription.
That's amazing! The pelvis of Pelagius III, an honoured madman if there ever was one. Take care.
Una would then proudly display the item on a nearby shelf. Speaking to the quest's many intricacies, the game originally had a line if we could find a second hip bone, but seeing as this is one of the few items that are singular in the quest and we can't find a duplicate, we would never hear it. However, she'd have originally incredulously commented,
Another pelvis of Pelagius? I don't think that's possible, honestly. It must be a fake.
Otherwise, if we steal the exhibit and return it to the confused curator of curiosities, she says.
But I already have. Or had. How odd. It seems to be missing. I'm sorry. I don't have the funds to purchase it from you. Again.
That's okay. Seeing as we've already collected our 250 gold as a finder's fee, you can have it for free.
Fantastic. I can't tell you what it means to me to have this in my collection. You are a good soul. Bye.
Now, it should be mentioned before we do collect more items, we can initiate another tour where Una seems to forget what she ever had in stock and will talk about any new items displayed.
This case is waiting for something especially odd. If you run across anything odd, be sure to bring it by and it might end up on display here. Over here is the pelvis of Pelagius, the greatest emperor that Tamriel has ever seen, as well as being completely mad.
The absent-mindedness may speak to her madness and probably explains the bug, as if we steal in front of Una, she will never even report us or even acknowledge it most of the time.
I'm warning you. Get out or I'll call the guards.
However, I shall save a final tour after collecting all items, and we'll see what happens if we steal all items as well. The next item we'll hunt down is to actually show how to find easy duplicates and Una's reactions, as they're found in fixed locations, being the deformed swamp tentacle, found in many locales west-southwest of the map, such as near the Gates of Madness, hanging from various walls and rocks. We collect some of the long dangling tentacles that are deformed and offer the slimy prize to Una back in a museum in which she celebrates.
Wonderful. Looking at the tentacle, I'm not sure whether to be disgusted or terrified. Just the kind of thing I'm looking for.
We then receive 180 gold for the prize, and if we give the collector a second tentacle, she remarks.
Too bad. I already have a deformed swamp tentacle, but next time I'm sure you'll find something truly odd. Don't worry.
If we then steal the slippery appendage from the case right in front of Una, then offer it to the Imperial again, she remarks.
Interesting. It looks vaguely familiar. Like I once had one of these on display. I only wish I had the funds to buy it off you.
No, don't worry, you can have it for free.
Thank you. It is a truly odd tentacle. I'm so glad to have one back on display. See you later.
Which brings us to the third item that we find, which is an insane and obscure callback to Morrowind I'm sure fans of the series will appreciate, called Din's Ashes. See, the ashes can be found in Abroca, a large ruin located north of New Sheoth, overrun with the undead. It boasts a hefty 6 zones, one of which is a crematorium guarded by one Bregor, the undead cremator. See, Sheogorath doesn't allow the Isle's inhabitants to take their own lives, but he does let them be burnt to ash when he's done with them, hopefully after they pass. What better way to get rid of the crazies though, right? As such, the cremating urn remains quite operational, as we can collect bone ourselves and use the nearby switch to have the hunger statues incinerate whatever is in there to ash and remain. More important for us, however, is the gilded urn found on a shelf against the western wall. Inside, we locate a slaughterfish scale charm worth a hefty 2,395 gold, and it imparts resist disease 25% and water breathing. Although ostensibly a strange combination, it will make sense in a moment. Underneath, we then find Din's ashes, the presumed owner of said necklace, or at least somebody buried it with him, as a wry joke. Here's why. See, if we pop over to Morrowind for a moment, we would have met previously a man named Din in the quest, the man who spoke to Slaughterfish.
So what do you want?
Din is a Redguard Master-at-Arms and low-ranking Imperial Legionnaire found in the West Gash north of Nisus. And speaking to him, we can try and learn how he ended up in the Isles, as he greets.
So what do you want? Hello, stranger. What? What the hell are you looking at? Get the hell out of here before I take your head off. All I want to do is catch some slaughterfish. Is that so wrong? Huh? You're welcome.
Catch some slaughterfish? What?
Yes, slaughterfish. You're not one, are you? Are you? No, I guess you're not. I'm sorry. My mind has been a little muddled since I got bitten. Those fish pack quite a punch. Punch? Yes, please.
Muddled, you say?
I'm just having some problems concentrating since the slaughterfish bite. Having some problems controlling myself, too. You have a problem with that? Huh? Well, sorry. I really need some help. Maybe you can get me to a healer? To hell with the healers. I don't need one. That Mera Drora is a healer, but I don't like the way she looks at me. All of Nisus is like that. Don't look at me.
With 3 options to aid the adult Imperial, we can first decline his offer and say, look, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do.
Fine. Can't trust you slaughterfish anyway. Are you threatening me? Go away.
Aggravated, Din proves that he's still not to be trifled with in his current state and may infect the player with green spore that he suffers from, if not killing them outright.
What is it? Do I know you? Well, slaughterfish.
Also of note, Din has unique dialogue for the following lines until he is cured, after which they revert to the generic lines for his class/faction, such as, what do you know of the Imperial Legion?
Bunch of guys who run around in suits of armor. They never go fishing except me. What were we talking about? Go away.
Well, maybe you can tell me more about the local Morrowind lore.
I don't know anything about that. I never even met Morrowind. Nosy fish you are.
Things seem a little muddled for you still, hey?
Muddled? Where? No. Don't play in the muddled. You'll get a dirty mind.
Otherwise, attempting to aid Din ourselves. You know, I'm somewhat of a healer myself. Perhaps I can cast a spell to cure your disease.
A spell, huh? Never heard of a slaughterfish that could cast spells. Give it your best shot. Stop looking at me.
If we speak to him again pre-spell, he questions impatiently.
Well, are you going to cast that spell on me, Slaughterfish?
I will. I'm just worried if something goes wrong or worse for you.
Go ahead, do your worst. I am a god. I'm waiting, bring it on!
Now, we can cast the spell and cure his ailment on the spot. Or, taking the first option, saying, perhaps you'd better follow me to a healer in Nessus.
Go to Nessus with you? A Slaughterfish? Maybe I should follow you. That way I can keep my eye on you. What is it? Do I know you? Well, Slaughterfish.
And so we make our way through the treacherous terrain to Nessus, with a maddened Din in tow.
Hold still!
Meeting the healer Mayra Drora in the basement, she questions.
Welcome, my child. Do you seek to join the temple?
Actually, do you know anything about diseased bites? The red guard here got a nasty bite that turned green around the wound and smells something fierce. He's been mad as a cut snake ever since.
Ah, this man has been bitten by a slaughterfish. That would explain the behavior you've described to me. Those slaughterfish bites can cause green spore on rare occasions. Once afflicted with it, the victim will often have violent outbursts and show signs of dementia, but enough talk. This man needs my help.
After which, we're gifted 30 gold and a newly cured Din states.
So what do you want? Hello, I feel much better now. Things aren't as muddled.
Well, I'm glad you got rid of your muddled state.
Yes, everything was so confusing there for a while. You gotta watch those slaughterfish bites. I'd heard they can cause disease, but I didn't realize how severely.
However, as Din celebrates his disease-free existence, it's probably prematurely. See, it should be mentioned the Shivering Isles doesn't take sane men. And seeing as his ashes wound up here, it means when the Nerevarine first encountered him, they canonically chose to leave him, simply noting in our journal, I've decided to take my leave of the madman Din. Whatever disease he has, I don't want to catch it. Better yet, he may have been infected a second time.
Fine. Can't trust you slaughterfish anyway. Are you threatening me? Go away.
Which brings us to Din's remains once more in the Isles. Unfortunately, he should have worn that necklace, as he's ended up here, not only not healed of his malady, but died to boot, burning away his disease at least, at the whim of the mad god. Returning to Una with a pocket full of ashes, she greets.
Ah, my favourite patron. Anything odd to show me?
I have some of Din's ashes. You can see the green tinge, but apparently they're very special, or at least Lord Sheoth thought so.
This is unusual. The ashes of a famous madman are perfect for my museum.
Like Pelagius's hip, we cannot give Armina a second helping of Din's ashes, but a dialogue was recorded.
Really? But I already have Din's ashes. I'm afraid someone must have taken advantage of your gullibility. See you later.
The Imperial then carefully places the ashes on the shelf closest to the door, and knowing the lack of recourse, we scoop them up in front of her and say, Look, I have Din's ashes.
Where did you find that? I was sure I once had Din's ashes on display here. I wish I had the funds to replace them. They were very popular.
No, take them. They're staining my hands as we speak.
Thank you, dearie. My museum just wasn't the same without the ashes on display. See you later.
Collecting the rest of the fixed oddities before the random ones, and finally have our grand tour, the next item we search out is some mute screaming moor, found at several locales as the normal screaming moor is, as they are interior plants. Our best bet is to break the law of all things in front of a dark seducer of Crucible who spits.
A prison cell is better than you deserve, mortal scum.
See, in the Isles, as many of you know, you don't simply get sent to a normal jail cell to wait out your time. Instead, it's more of a gauntlet to survive. The prison, also known as Corpse Rot Passage, happens to possess outside of many grubby Grummite jailers one guaranteed deposit of the mute Screaming Maw. Taking it to Una Armina for a tidy 200 gold, she tells us the hideous secret behind how it garnered such a name.
Oh, how cute. Look how it tries and tries to scream, but no sound comes out. Oh, this is perfect for my museum.
As she places it on the shelf next to the stairs, we see indeed it cannot scream for mercy. Offering a second Screaming Maw would net us.
Oh, another mute Screaming Maw. I already have one of those on exhibit.
And finally, casually pinching the maw off the shelf, Una still seems oblivious at our kleptomania and responds absent-mindedly when we tell her we found another.
I've been looking for one of those to replace the one I used to have on display. At least I think I did. Oh, I truly wish I could afford to buy it.
No, go ahead, take it.
Wonderful! I'll put you on my list of special donors. It's a very exclusive list, you know. Bye.
The final ingredient appearing in fixed locations is the Blind Watcher's Eye. Identical to Watcher's Eye, it's an interior plant found either in the Knotbone Chamber, Knotty Bramble, or the ruins of Mikar. The plant that we decide to procure is in Knotbone Chamber on the side of a doorway found in the main chamber growing on the left side. Interestingly, although this ingredient isn't really noteworthy in the Shivering Isles, perhaps it is noteworthy to some of the players, as Blind Watcher's Eye also appears in Rare Curios creation for Skyrim Special Edition. When returning to Armina, we offer her the Watcher's Eye for 200 gold and she comments,
Oh, how deliciously odd. I've never seen a Blind Watcher's Eye before. It will have a place of honour in the museum.
She then places it above the Screaming Maw, and we see it really is just a strange rooted organic pod. Offering it a second time nets us.
I already have something in the museum very similar. But don't give up. I'm sure something truly odd will turn up soon.
And swiping the root, Armina will misremember.
I could swear I once had a Blind Watcher's Eye just like that. I would like to replace it, but the funds just aren't available.
No, you can have it.
Oh, how generous of you. This Blind Watcher's Eye is sure to draw a crowd.
Now that we've successfully collected the
Goodbye.
5 initial fixed items lining out the museum's shelves, there are 7 more to be found. However, 6 of 7 are just simply found in random containers, so for expediency's sake, we shall simply go over each item, their unique aesthetics and properties, and Una's reaction to receiving them. The first item out of 7 that can be found out in the Isles is a special amber usually only located in amber limbs or stumps, and is called Sheoth shaped amber. Now, exactly as the name implies, it's meant to look like the Mad God, and you may drive yourself insane trying to see that, or finding it, as it has a measly 1% drop rate chance in hollowed amber limbs and stumps. Giving Armina the artifact, she then delights.
If it isn't the spitting image of Lord Sheoth himself. So lifelike you can almost see his bad eye twitching. Perfect!
Interestingly, if we'd mantled the Mad God, she would have instead said,
Well, if it doesn't look just like you, so lifelike, my patrons are going to absolutely adore this.
Trying to sell it to her twice has a rebuke.
What a shame. 1 Sheoth-shaped amber lump is odd. 2 are simply boring. Maybe next time you'll find something really odd. See you later.
Reaching into the display case containing the formless lump of amber, we then offer it to Armina a 3rd time.
This looks just like the one I have, had in the museum. It seems to have been misplaced. I wish I had the funds to buy it off you.
Go on, take it.
You really are a dear, a true friend to the museum. Perhaps Lord Sheoth himself will come to see the exhibit one day. Bye.
Now for the final 6 items, I must stress they're only found in random containers which are not fun to go and search. And as such, I'm going to show them on screen, and then we can check out their lore, as they are honestly interesting items and very strange, so that we can get to the climax of the video with the final disastrous multiple tours. Now the second item is the Dagger of Friendship. This Grummite dagger oddly imparts restore health 10 on those it strikes.
What's going on?
Offering the dagger to Una for 300 gold, she gushes.
Well, isn't that just the oddest thing? A dagger that heals people. Who would make such a thing, and why? I absolutely adore it.
Offering a second dagger, she would then reject.
That's so strange. I got one of those just the other day. Sorry. Maybe you can start your own collection of oddities,
And finally giving back the stolen blade, she remarks.
Oh, yes, I have one of those. No, that's the one that I misplaced the other day. I'd really like to replace it, but funds are so tight.
Take the knife.
I don't know what to say. You're such a dear. I'm going to put this dagger right back where it belongs. Goodbye.
Third is the soul tomato. That's right, you can find and own a tomato that works like a grand soul gem, randomly found in containers, though it is not edible. Offering the quote-unquote soul tomato to Una for 350 gold, she amazes.
Oh my, that is odd. I've never even heard of such a thing before. We'll find a nice place for it here in the museum.
Offering a second one, Netsis.
You wouldn't think there would be two of those in the world now, would you? Sorry. Keep looking and I'm sure something truly odd will turn up.
And if we snatch the tomato and show up with it later, Armina, confused, will say,
That looks just like the one I used to have. Or maybe I saw it in a book. In any case, I wish I could afford to buy it from you, but... Really? For free? That's so generous of you. I'll put this tomato right back where it belongs in a place of honour. Goodbye.
Fourth is the Ring of Disrobing, and as you imagine, it has a script effect when wearing it, removing all of your clothes. Though Armina seems unfazed, we then offer.
Have you found a new oddity that you'd like to contribute to the museum?
Yeah, here's a ring that makes you naked.
Oh my, how wonderful! A ring that removes people's clothing. This will be one of my most popular exhibits, I'm sure.
Realising we get no gold for the ring, we return to Armina with a replica and she states,
I'm so sorry. I already have a ring of disrobing. There's really no place in the Museum of Oddities for duplicates, as I'm sure you can understand.
Lifting the ring from the cabinet under the listless gaze of the curator, when offering it back, she admits longingly.
That's just like one that's gone missing from my museum. If only I had the funds to replace it. Oh.
Settle down, you can have your star attraction back.
Oh my, I'm so glad to have this back. People have been asking me what happened to my ring of disrobing, and I just didn't know what to tell them. See you later.
Fifth, we find a two-headed septum, which is a rare coin randomly found in containers, and offering it to Una nets us 150 gold.
2 Tibers are always better than 1, I always say. We'll take good care of him here in the museum, don't you worry. See you later.
She places it in the case wedged beside the stairs. Offering her a duplicate, though, gets us.
I already have one of those. Can't very well have 2 in a Museum of Oddities, now can we?
And stealing the coin when we can squeeze past the curator, she forgetfully declines.
I already have one of... Wait a moment, no. That's the one I can't find now. If only I had the money to buy it off you.
Don't worry, you can have it for free, my dear.
How sweet, you truly are a patron of the odd.
Now, interestingly, when you first find it, it's identified as a two-headed coin. But after you give it to the museum, it becomes a two-headed septum. This may be of use to people who want to decorate their houses, as this is one of 2 coins you can place without the aid of mods. Sixth is a hound tooth key, And as its name implies, it's a key shaped like a large hound's tooth. However, although it is a uniquely shaped key, it doesn't unlock anything. Offering it to Una, she rewards 200 gold.
What a perfect little oddity. Just strange enough that it makes you go, but not so strange as to become a miracle or an omen. Thank you.
Trying to give her another houndstooth we extracted, she says.
Honestly, I've never seen one before until recently, and now to have two turn up, that's odd in itself, isn't it? But I really can't use it, sorry.
And finally, stealing the tooth and offering it back to the museum's star mismanager has a reply.
What luck! I seem to have misplaced the one I used to have on display. I really can't afford to buy it from you, though.
No, you keep the tooth.
Oh, you are a sweetie. The museum hasn't been the same since this went missing. It's so nice of you to donate it to the cause of oddity.
The seventh and final item to be found is a mixing bowl, an odd alchemy apparatus randomly found in containers. For alchemical purposes, it's the equivalent to an apprentice mortar and pestle. Offering the bowl to Armina, she admits.
A bowl that you mix potions in? Well, it doesn't seem all that odd to me. Well, I can see you're trying, so I'll find somewhere to put it.
Attempting to hawk a second bowl, she says.
We already have one of those, I'm afraid. It wasn't all that odd to begin with, honestly. We certainly can't have two.
And stealing the bowl only to offer perhaps the most plain of items back to Una, she sighs.
Seems like I've seen one of those before. But I guess it is odd enough for the museum. But I certainly can't justify buying it from you.
Well, you can have it for free. I mean, it clearly is just a bowl.
Such a benefactor. I'll be sure to mention your generosity to all my other patrons. Bye.
With all of the items, our quest would then update. I found all the interesting items for which Una Armina was searching. We can finally receive a full tour of the museum and learn of Din's tragic fate before a special second messed up and final tour.
Welcome to the Museum of Oddities. Let me know if you'd like a tour of our exhibits. Wonderful. Follow me and I'll show you around my little collection of oddities. Look closely and you'll see a tiny skull. These pygmies used to live in the Shivering Isles until they were all eaten by grummites, poor dears. Here's a real oddity for you, an arm of one of the gatekeepers. This one was killed by... oh, I forget now. A lovely specimen in any case. Up here is a little beauty, the Ring of Desiccation. Walk on water and breathe underwater at the same time. Odd, if you think about it for a minute. Here you see the Blind Watcher's Eye, a most unusual specimen collected at great peril by some intrepid adventurer. Here, in this case, is a disgustingly deformed swamp tentacle. Such a freak of nature has never been seen before, and hopefully not since either. This right here is one of my favourites. A lump of amber in the shape of Lord Sheoth's head. The wonders of nature never cease to amaze. Over here is the pelvis of Pelagius, the greatest emperor that Tamriel has ever seen, as well as being completely mad. Here we have the mortal remains of a fellow named Din, who, as I understand, was driven mad and killed himself. A truly demented act. This is a lovely little oddity. A two-headed septim. Take your time, there's no rush. Here's something truly odd. A soul tomato. A tomato that can act like a soul gem. No one has yet been able to explain it. This one is perhaps more unusual than truly odd, but some people enjoy it. Truth to be told, I only display it as a favour to the donor. A lovely little oddity. A key made from a hound's tooth. And no one even knows what it opens. Imagine that. Shall we move on? Here's a new addition to the museum, one of my favourites. A dagger that heals whomever it cuts. Isn't that deliciously odd? The ring of disrobing. Removes your clothes if you put it on. Now don't you go trying it. I have enough oddities on display already. I love this one. It's a screaming Moor that can't scream. Isn't that just the oddest thing you've ever seen? I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Feel free to stay and browse for as long as you like.
Now, we've seen all of the items and the descriptions, plus learned that Din took care of himself, which is a big no-no in the Isles, so it's amazing he's not on the hill and must have done it outside of the Shivering Isles. And Sheoth has actually taken his body to the crematorium, especially honour him and his slaughterfish. Speaking of which, we could have simply killed the curator of the Museum of Oddities at any time. And a tombstone could be found in New Sheoth graveyard and read, "In memory of Una Armina, a true oddity." The only thing now we have left to do, which may be crueler than death for someone with Una's apparent memory issues, is to steal every single artifact in the museum, and to the developer's credit, rather cruelly watch the Imperial bluster her way through a final sad tour, thanks to her unrelenting dementia.
Wonderful. Follow me and I'll show you around my little collection of oddities. There used to be a pygmy skull here. I was sure of it. My very first oddity. I couldn't have imagined that, could I? Oh, well, let's move on. You haven't seen a huge severed arm with an axe for a hand anywhere, have you? I seem to have misplaced mine. Oh, well. Here's the ring of... Well, now, where did it go? Things have a way of disappearing around here that's enough to drive a person insane. Here is... Well, I think there used to be something very odd here, but it seems to be missing now. Let's move on. You know, I always walk over here thinking there's another exhibit, but there never is. Oh, silly me. This case is waiting for something especially odd. If you run across anything odd, be sure to bring it by, and it might end up on display here. I could have sworn that I used to keep something very odd on this shelf. Oh well. Let's move on. Yes, I've been meaning to put something here, but it seems I haven't gotten around to it. Although I distinctly remember preparing an exhibit.
Greetings.
Well, this case seems to be empty. Strange. I'm sure that yesterday... Oh, my memory just isn't what it used to be. Let's see what else we can find. Were you in here last week? Wasn't there an exhibit in this case, then? Oh, well, I must just be going senile. As you can see, I have plenty of space here for new oddities, so think of me when you run across anything odd. I think something's missing from this shelf. Or it could be just my old brain playing tricks on me again. Oh well, let's continue the tour, shall we? Oh, that's strange. I thought there was something else here. Oh, well, no matter. Just losing my mind or something. Right this way. This case here I'm saving for something special. Wouldn't you like to be the one to find something odd enough to go on display here? Oh, yes, I've already shown you this shelf, haven't I? My poor old brain just isn't what it used to be. I hope you're enjoying the museum. There used to be a pygmy skull here, I was sure of it. My very first oddity. I couldn't have imagined that, could I? Oh, well, let's move on. You haven't seen a huge severed arm with an axe for a hand anywhere, have you? I seem to have misplaced mine. Oh, well. Here's the ring of... Well, now, where did it go? Things have a way of disappearing around here.
In Crucible, you'll find a place, a museum with all manner of things. A reward you'll get if to this place something strange and new you bring.